welcome to Getting Your Money's Worth, the show that focuses on value. I'm Judith West, and our guest today is Alyce Zollman, financial consultant for Schwab and Company. Right. Hi, Alyce. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So we have a lot to talk about. Boy, financial consultant. Are you a retirement specialist?
Well, financial consultant, so we look at all aspects.
Yeah, but you speak especially about retirement.
Well, yes, it's an area that we tend to focus on quite a bit, and especially now because it's.
You're so young. How can you talk on retirement?
Well, I'll tell you. I actually grew up with a father in the business, so
in the financial business.
In the financial business as an investment advisor, so.
So you kind of learned about it around the kitchen table.
I learned about it around the kitchen table. In fact, my first retirement planning discussion came at the age of 12.
Oh, yeah?
So, it's an area that, I've grown up around, my whole life. So it came naturally.
Retirement is a shock right now. It's a word that brings shivers to people's bodies because of the economic meltdown. I brought with us because yesterday's Wall Street Journal has this full page. Last year's Americans spent 19 hours planning for their retirement. They say about the same as a Thanksgiving dinner. Americans don't spend very much time planning for their retirement. I'm thinking that this meltdown might be a wake-up call.
Well, I would agree, and I think that would be a good thing. If there is any silver lining to all of this, it's that we may emerge as a country becoming more financially fit. And at Schwab, we talk about that a lot. Is making sure that you're doing everything possible.
Let's talk about this. Let's go to the top of the list, and we'll work our way down the edge. What do you have to say to folks who are already retired and must cope with living through this debacle or this crisis, whatever you want to? What do you tell them if they call you at Schwab? What do you say, Alyce?
Well, the first thing, and I think most important for that age group,
for that piece of the population,
most importantly, don't panic. Don't panic, and many of those investors, those individuals.
It's very hard to tell somebody who retired at 60 or 65 and thinks he's got, a nice nest egg built up for himself or herself, and they see it melt away daily.
Absolutely.
I mean, don't panic is a hard nut to swallow.
It's very difficult, and it can be unsettling. But panic is definitely not an investment strategy.
Do you know, by the way, where the word panic came from?
I don't.
It came from the Greek god mythology, who used to go into places like caves or mountainsides and make these outrageously loud noises and cause everybody to panic.
Really?
And that's the derivation of the word panic.
Kind of feels like some of the financial news we're reading
some of the shouts, right?
Sure.
This panic kind of feeds off of itself, doesn't it?
It does, and that's again, panic is not an investment strategy. So the best advice that we can give to folks who are already retired or anybody for that matter is don't panic. Stay calm and really thoughtfully assess the situation where you are. If you are already retired, hopefully you have mapped out a plan for your retirement spending, for your investments.
How many people do that, Alyce?
Well, not enough.
Yeah,
not enough. We recently put together a study called Rethinking Retirement, which looked at attitudes and the thought process of anybody or of respondents from ages 21 to about 80.
Should you start planning for your retirement at 21?
As early as possible.
Really? 12 years old you did, huh?
12 years old I did it. Now, don't know that you need to think about it that early, but the earlier the better. And so, what we found is that, people do think about retirement. They're concerned about it. And many are optimistic about what that means, but they don't have concrete plans in place.
I think I don't want to keep saying that there's something good about this crisis, so you try to find it. But I think that this will, for once and for all, perhaps wipe away the the belief that it was all going to be okay in the long run.
Right.
Take away some of that optimism and replace it with some hard thinking.
Exactly, and that is a good thing. And again, we found through our research that people are optimistic about their retirement, but that needs to translate into the right behaviors. The younger you can start, the better, because you have more time on your side.
Right. So tell me, so those folks who are presently retired, there really isn't a heck of a lot you can say to them except try to stay calm. Sure. Follow the course. Don't jump to this. Panic is infectious. Don't jump to the herd mentality, and stay focused. What about this whole group of folks, which I think that you spend a lot of time talking about, the baby boomers?
Yes.
Those folks that are just approaching 60, who are expecting within the next couple of years to retire. How are they going to handle this?
Well, the reality is that they may have to reassess their retirement plans.
They may have to work harder.
It's a reality. Longer. They may have to work longer. However, I would caution against being too pessimistic about that, because, remember that, we're living longer in the country than we ever had. So,
exactly.
When we're creating financial plans, we run those plans with a life expectancy of age 90.
Now, so, is that what you do now?
That's what we do now. So, if you're looking to retire at age 60 or 65, that's 35 years. That's a long time.
Let's just do the math a little bit. Suppose you're getting ready, suppose you're expecting to retire at 65, and just for convenience sake, for mental math, you need to spend $100,000 a year.
Okay.
Right? Let's just suppose. Okay. And you're now saying that you do that for up to age 90. So if you're 60, that's 30 years. 30 years, that's 30 times $100,000. That's $3 million. So that's, if people have to look at their portfolios and say, do you have enough? Do I have enough with my Social Security or anything else? Now, if they are in not in stocks, if they're just in tax-frees, are they going to be able to depend on that? I mean, they can't depend on that, because it's not going to. If you have $3 million, that's not going to throw off $3 million. What do you advise as far as the allocation?
Sure. Well, the first thing is, again, you laid out a great example. At Schwab, we have a rule of thumb when it comes to retirement planning that you need to have a portfolio worth about 25 times what you plan to spend in the first year of retirement, minus any sources of income, so Social Security, pension income. And if you do that, then you have a pretty good chance of your money lasting through, at least to age 90, and hopefully having some to leave for your heirs, or if you're charitably inclined.
The biggest fear people have, Al, is that they're going to outlive their money.
Exactly. And this study that we put together found that those the oldest generation in that study, the current retirees, that's their biggest concern, and it is a concern. So to get back to your question about the allocation, you need to have it is just as big a risk to have too much in cash, CDs, bonds, because you've got to factor in
I mean, people
inflation.
now want to put their money under the mattress, but my goodness, it's not going to last you.
That's right. You've got to understand that the risk of inflation eating away at our money.
So what would you suggest would be the optimum formula between stocks and bonds?
Well, a general formula.
Let's just take this example. We had this $3 million kicking around.
Sure.
So let's just, and that's really a lot for a lot of people.
That's a lot. Yes.
Yeah. So we don't want to forget those folks who don't have that kind. But
of course.
But we're kicking that around. So what's the good optimal
a general
formula?
Starting point would be, say at that stage to have about 60% of your assets invested in the stock market.
60%?
60% at that age.
That surprises me.
And about 35% in bonds, fixed income, and about 5% in cash.
Don't you think people are going to be afraid to have that much in stock?
Well, again, that's the starting point. Now, that, from a quantitative standpoint, from a pure numbers standpoint, you've got to look at, what's my time horizon, that sort of thing. But the second most important thing, and it's almost just as important, is understanding your personal comfort level with risk. So just because you're 60 and 5-10 years away from retirement doesn't mean that it's right for you to have 60% of your assets in the stock market. If you can't sleep at night with that allocation because it's too volatile, then it's not right for you. Right. And what we're seeing a lot of, and what this market, this bear market is forcing a lot of us to do, and I talk to clients about this on a daily basis, is to reassess your right risk tolerance.
Yeah. Well, I think we do have to be careful, keep it in perspective. I mean, lots of folks who thought they may have had a mild or, an average risk tolerance find out that they're below average right now, me included.
Right.
But we're also talking about a very unprecedented scenario. I mean, this country has been in other bear markets before this one of 2008.
Yes.
But there is something, even though I'm told by you guys in the financial world, the four most overused words is this time it's different. Somehow this one feels a lot harsher.
Yes. Yes.
So we don't want to say that this is typical.
No, that's right.
I think that people are saying it's like once in a century or something.
Right. Right, and it is. There's no question that we are in an unsettling period, and it's not pleasant. It's simply not pleasant when you're talking about the U.S. Major indices being down 35%, 40%. That's very difficult to endure. However, they are overused words. This time is different. We've been through crises before. This is particularly painful. However, bear markets and recessions are part of the economic and business cycle.
It's almost like the weather, I guess.
It's very much like the weather.
Right.
I say that a lot. We can't predict it. We can only prepare for it. And investing, financial planning is no different. And we talk a lot at Schwab about planning for the worst case scenario. And for a lot of people...
Have you guys ever planned for this kind of a market?
Well, I don't think
this is so many standard deviations. I mean, to use that kind of a term. So
well, we've been talking at Schwab, for a couple of years now, trying to prepare clients for a bear market. Not because we are overly pessimistic, but because history teaches us that there are ebbs and flows.
Trees don't go to the sky.
Exactly. So now to say, could we have predicted that it was going to be this painful? I don't think anybody.
I don't think anybody.
I don't think anybody did. Right. But you've got to plan for the worst.
Okay, so we're at this planning stage, which brings me back to this.
Yes.
Over and over again, we hear the same thing: plan, plan, plan. Americans don't seem to get it.
Right.
We had a negative saving. But whose responsibility is it to plan for retirement?
Well,
is it the employers, the employees? In a word, we have very little time left.
Sure. Ultimately, no. It's our own responsibility.
It's your own responsibility.
It's your own responsibility. But take advantage. If your employer offers a retirement plan, take advantage of it.
No question about it.
No question about it. That's the first thing you should do. And secondly, if you feel a little bit unsure about investments, making decisions, if your employer offers a plan, they most likely offer some sort of advice and help.
Counseling service.
And there's lots of information available to investors.
Especially even on the internet now.
On the internet, go to a financial services firm.
Do you guys charge if somebody just walks in and says, "I want some help with my retirement"? Would you get that kind of advice with no charge?
Schwab gives that kind of advice, and
with no charge.
Well, we offer a number of different ways that you can work.
But if you are not a client and you're thinking about becoming a client, you can certainly get some kind of a no charge analysis.
We put together complimentary goal planners and we offer a number of different things.
But the key that we want to leave folks with is, even at 21, you said, I mean not at 12, start planning. And if there's ever a wake-up call to this country about spending time planning, imagine 19 hours, their whole retirement.
Right.
People spend longer than that trying to choose a car.
Well, it can seem like a very complicated issue.
But really it isn't, because I like the tip you gave. How much you're going to need times how many years you think you're going to live, and plan for that.
Right.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
I appreciate your being on the show.
Thank you.
You're watching Getting Your Money's Worth. I'm Judith West. Thanks for watching.